So, what actually made you like go live with your mom instead of your dad when they split?
Um, it was my mom first, and it wasn't really a choice at that time. I was like 6 or 7, so
Oh, okay.
I had to go with what happened. You know what I mean? And during that phase, when I left from with my mom, she was into the things she was into, and drugs was playing an effect and all of that at that given moment, and that's how we got separated from her and went with my dad. And then that's when we stayed with my dad for like 7 to 10 years or something of that nature. So we left her to go with him.
Okay. So, kind of like describe that time, like, cause I know you said you ended up going to live with your grandmother at 12, right?
Yeah,
And that probably had something to do with like you said, like your mom, she was going through some things like with drug abuse, and you say your dad, he ended up going to do a jail bid around that
yeah,
time, right? All right, so let's kind of like just backtrack to like a little bit before that, and I just want to ask you like being like a young kid and kind of like bouncing household to household, you have siblings, like you're not really having like an opportunity to kind of like lock in with close family members, even your parents. Like, do you remember like the emotions that you were going through, like when you were that age at that time?
yeah. I mean, it was a lot of mixed feelings during that time because you really didn't know what was going on. Like, even going from transitioning to my mom to my dad to my grandmother, those transitions, you got so many things that happen within them transitions because during that phase, my parents wasn't at a stable point to where things made sense. So you might be staying somewhere for a year or 2 years and then you moving. So you keep changing locations, you keep changing schools, you keep changing friends. So you never really had a basis of people that you was around all the time. We went from school to school, we went from location to location, and that showed me a lot of how I move today because it made me be so much able to move about and be like, okay, I can network with these people, I can network with these people. Because almost my whole life, I done been in so many different schools, I done been in so many different programs, I done been in
Yeah, it
so
was
many
kind of
different
preparing
areas
you.
to really move like I move today.
Right.
So it was like that showed me that although it wasn't stable, I was able to reverse it and make it work for me because now I can move about and go from place to place and not never have to worry about, oh, this may not be the, I don't get that anxiety. I'm like, oh, it's just like moving somewhere, you know what I mean? So I'm able to go move somewhere and make something happen out of nothing just because I seen it happen so many times.
Right, right. And is that more like, cuz that's bittersweet, so like which side is it more of for you? Like, is it more of a blessing, or is it more like, man, I still wish that, like, growing up I could have just had more time with my family, and we could have kind of been like, like one of the families that you see on TV or something, so to speak, one of the cliche
Yeah.
families.
It was really a blessing to me because, to be honest, it made me have so many more people that now, because I'm doing music or something of this nature, that you got to network all the time. You got to have so many outlets and so many outreaches. So you got people that I might have been 10 and going to school with them, and I might have been 12 going to school with them, and I might have been 13 going to school with them because we was changing so much that now these people are grown as well. So they may be in California, one may be in New York, one may be in Miami. And now I got that outlet to be like, yo, let me call up them because we still got that connection because we've been keeping up with each other the whole way through. So no matter whatever happened, there was always some type of a friendship, some type of a relationship, some type of a family ship. And you built that within multiple different areas. So it made it so easy for me to now network and be like, yo, I'm going to tap in with this person because I feel comfortable because they might have knew me since 12. Even though we might not have been around each other in 20 years, our relationship still built because they was a phone call away, or they was a Facebook tweet away, or they was an Instagram friend away type of situation.
Right, right. So let's fast forward to when you turned 12 years old. You went to go live with your grandmother at
Hmm.
12 years old. Just kind of describe, like, were you excited that you were going to live with your grandmother? Like, cause At 12, like I know you kind of you were going through like some hard times, but it's kind of hard to kind of really like grasp like everything that was going on around you. So were you happy that you were going to live with your grandmother, or did the circumstances still kind of like make you like not really want to do it, or you were sad about it? How did that go?
It was actually more of like a 14 that actually happened, but
14. Okay.
it was definitely a happy thing because you gotta you gotta look at it from my standpoint. At 14, 13, that's when we trying to get into everything. Like our minds is wide open, so we're naive to a lot of stuff, and we're bad in a lot of situations, what people would call it. But that made me get way more opportunity. Being with my dad, he was way more strict, so it was a lot of things that he wouldn't allow just because that's my dad, and he dad gonna have his certain things that he gonna be strict on, so you really can't move how you really want to move and groove. So it kind of gave me a different type of spirit because it was like, oh, now I can be more free, and I know I ain't got somebody on my back every day all day. I know I ain't getting the type of whoopings I'm getting. I know I ain't getting the type of punishments because your grandparents is way more lenient on you than anybody else ever in the world type of situation. So it kind of was like a blessing to me in the same sense, even though the situation had happened, but it turned into being something completely different. And then it brought me back to Detroit as well during that time because when I left from with my dad, I was actually living in Omaha, Nebraska. So we was out there. So I would only come back to Detroit for like the summers. So then it kind of transitioned the whole situation to me being in the city all over again, to really embracing everything that
So
the city had going
when
on.
you lived with your dad, he lived in Omaha.
Yeah, he lived in Omaha.
Okay, tell me about that. Tell me about living in Omaha for what, 7 years? You said.
Nah, see that it. We probably stayed there like 3 years maybe.
Okay, so tell me about that.
Okay, so what led to that? It was like at first we was in Battle Creek, Michigan. Then we went to Kalamazoo, Michigan. Then from Kalamazoo we went to Omaha. The reason we went to Omaha was because my grandmother and grandfather on my dad's side had moved to Omaha because my grandmother was working for Kellogg's, and they closed down, I think, in Battle Creek, and they moved out there. So we all transitioned out there, and that's where my dad was restarting, setting up another situation. So we moved out there, and it was completely different than being in Michigan because the area we went in was a more upscale area. It was more white people. It wasn't the hood like what we had been privy to the whole rest of my life. So when we got out there, it showed me how to network with another race and a different culture and people that was thinking completely different. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times, if you don't know how another person thinking, when you growing up in the city, you just thinking, oh, it's racist. You know what I mean? You go to Omaha, everything's racist, everything's this. But what it really did was showed us that they loved us. You know what I mean? So it was like I was maybe 4 or 5 black people in this school. So when it came to the favors and how they tried to treat us, they treated us so much differently. Like everybody loved us because it wasn't a bunch of us. So when you only got a few select of y'all, and in this day and age that we was doing that, they pretty much embraced us and loved us. You know what I mean? So it was like getting that love from them completely changed my whole paradigm on what they really be on. Because I always came up from my grandparents' era and everybody else talking about what they were like and what they went through. So by the time it got to my era, it was a completely different change. It was like they loved us.
Right, right.